Have you ever met someone who apologizes even when they haven't done anything wrong? That friend who bumps into you on the street and says sorry, even though you were the one who was distracted? Or that coworker who starts an email with "I apologize for the delay" when they actually responded in less than an hour? At first glance, it may just seem like excessive politeness, but behind this automatic sorry, there is often an emotional story that goes far beyond kindness. First of all, it is important to say that there is nothing wrong with being polite. Apologizing when you make a mistake is a sign of maturity and respect for others. The problem is not in the act itself, but in the frequency and context in which it happens. When sorry becomes a tick, a word that leaves the mouth before the person even understands what is happening, it is a sign that something deeper is at play. Maybe you even identify with this. Maybe you've already found yourself apologizing for existing. Imagine a child who, from an early age, learned that taking up space was a nuisance. That playing loudly was making too much noise, that asking for help was bothering adults, that expressing an opinion was being talkative. Over time, this child's brain internalizes a dangerous message: my presence is a burden. I need to apologize for being here. And so, sorry becomes an invisible armor, a way to protect yourself from criticism before it even appears. It's as if the person said, without words, I already know I'm wrong, so there's no need to attack me. This pattern often repeats itself in adults who grew up in environments where love was conditional. Perhaps they learned that they were only worthy of affection when they behaved impeccably, when they didn't give work. Or, in toxic relationships, where any small flaw was amplified until it became proof of incompetence. Over time, the mind creates a self-defense mechanism. If you already take the blame beforehand, no one can use it against you. It's as if the person carries an invisible sign reading, I know I'm a nuisance, so I apologize in advance. But it's not just the past that shapes this behavior. There are also those who use constant sorry as a survival strategy in the present. In competitive work environments, for example, apologizing can be a way of avoiding conflict or softening one's presence. A woman in a male-dominated meeting may begin a speech with, "Sorry, I just wanted to add." Not because she actually thinks she's interrupting, but because she's learned that if she doesn't slow down a little, she'll be seen as aggressive. Likewise, a new employee may apologize for everything, even breathing, in an attempt to go unnoticed and not draw attention to possible mistakes. The curious thing is that, behind this apparent submission, deep anxiety is often hidden. The person who apologizes for everything lives in a constant state of hypervigilance, always waiting for the next mistake, the next failure that will need to be justified. It's as if she's driving with the handbrake on. Even when things are going well, there's always a fear that something will go wrong. And this fear, ironically, can even attract the mistakes she so fears. After all, those who are always apologizing in advance end up sabotaging themselves, as if the universe needed to prove that their concerns were founded. But what if I told you that this habit of apologizing all the time could actually be a sign of strength in disguise? Think about it. Only those who have a keen awareness of others are able to notice so quickly when something could be interpreted as an error. Only those who care deeply about relationships are so concerned about not hurting or bothering them. In other words, someone who apologizes too much is often someone who values harmony above their own comfort. The problem. Motto is not empathy, but the excess responsibility that this person carries on their shoulders, as if it were their fault to ensure that everyone around them is always comfortable. The point is that when I'm sorry becomes automatic, it loses its meaning. And, worse, it starts communicating the opposite of what is intended. Instead of conveying humility, it can sound like insecurity. Instead of showing respect, it can give the impression that the person doesn't trust themselves. It's as if, with each unnecessary excuse, she is reinforcing to the world, and to herself, that she doesn't deserve to take up space. And that, my friend, is one of the greatest injustices we can commit against ourselves. How about, then, exchanging the automatic sorry for a thank you? Instead of asking for forgiveness for existing, why not be grateful for the opportunity to be there? Instead of saying sorry for the delay, try thank you for your patience. Instead of sorry to bother you, a thank you for listening to me. This small change isn't just a matter of words, it's a mental reprogramming. It's as if you're saying to yourself, I have a right to be here. My needs matter. My mistakes don't define me. Of course, this doesn't mean you should stop apologizing when you actually mess up. The idea is not to become arrogant or insensitive, but to recognize the difference between a genuine mistake and invented guilt. When you stop apologizing for things that aren't your fault, something magical happens. The world starts to treat you with the same respect you start to have for yourself. People realize, even if unconsciously, that you are no longer an easy target for criticism or manipulation. And, little by little, you stop being the one who always asks for forgiveness and become the one who occupies your space with confidence. If you identify with this, know that there is nothing wrong with you. You are not annoying, not inconvenient, not a burden. You just learned, at some point in your life, that saying sorry was the surest way to be accepted. But the truth is, you don't need permission to exist. You don't need to apologize for having opinions, for taking up space, for being human. Life is too short to be lived in a small way. So the next time "I'm sorry" is on the tip of your tongue, pause, breathe, and ask yourself, did I really do something wrong, or am I just scared of being seen? And if this text made sense to you, comment here. Do you also have the habit of apologizing for no reason? What do you think is behind this? Share with anyone who needs to hear this message. And if you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next texts. Until next time, and remember, you don't have to apologize for who you are. The power of not apologizing, when sorry became a reflection of a wound you didn't see. Have you ever stopped to count how many times you say sorry per day? Not the ones that are really necessary when you bump into someone, when you're late for an appointment, when you actually make a mistake. But those automatic excuses, almost like a nervous tick, sorry to bother you, sorry to exist, sorry to take up space. Now, do an exercise with me. Close your eyes and remember the first time you felt like you needed to apologize to be accepted. Maybe it was in childhood, when an adult frowned upon hearing your voice. Or as a teenager, when a group laughed at your opinion. Or in that relationship where you learned that silence was safer than existing. The problem is not the sorry itself. The problem is when it becomes the currency of your self-esteem. When you use it not to right a wrong, but to buy permission to speak, to feel, to be. The anatomy of a toxic sorry. Let's dissect it, like a scientist analyzing a social virus. 1. The preventative sorry. I'm sorry, but I think. Actual translation. I know my opinion is worthless, but I'm going to risk it anyway. Side effect. Trains people to devalue your words before they even hear them. 2. The sorry for existing. Sorry to disturb you, sorry to take up your time. Actual translation. I have no right to take up space. Side effect. You become invisible in your own eyes and, over time, in the eyes of others. 3. The sorry for feeling. I'm sorry I'm sad, I'm sorry I'm not well. Actual translation. My emotions are a nuisance. Side effect. Neutralizes your humanity. You start to live like a productivity robot, without the right to bad days. 4. The sorry for having needs. I'm sorry to ask for help, I'm sorry I need you. Actual translation. My requests are a burden. Side effect. Isolation. You stop asking for what you need and, worse, stop believing that you deserve to receive it. Why do you do this? The root nobody told you. Here's the blunt truth. You weren't born apologizing. This was learned. And like all learning, it can be unlearned. Let's look at the hypotheses, and you will identify with at least one. You were raised in an environment where love equals silence. Good children don't make noise, don't cry, that's nothing. Be grateful for what you have and don't ask for more. Result: you have internalized that existing is a privilege, not a right. You have already been punished for taking up space. Maybe they laughed at your idea at school. Maybe a boss humiliated you in front of others. Maybe a sweetheart said you're too intense. Result: your brain has associated visibility with pain, and now you excuse yourself to avoid the attack. You confuse kindness with submission. Society teaches that women should be sweet and men should not be sensitive. The sorry becomes a mask of politeness, but underneath, there is fear of being judged. Result: you exchange authenticity for acceptance. You think love is achieved with conformity. If in your home you were only noticed when you pleased, you learned that being yourself is not enough. Result, you live in emotional debt, as if you needed to pay for the right to be loved. The cost of a life in sorry mode. Stop and think, what did you stop living for fear of disturbing? The job you didn't ask for because sorry, I'm not that good. The person who didn't approach because I'm sorry, I don't deserve it. The dream you didn't pursue because I'm sorry, it's selfish of me to want that. With every unnecessary excuse, you lose a piece of yourself. And the worst, people start to believe that you really don't deserve it. How to stop apologizing for your existence. It's not about becoming a rude person or stopping being kind. It's about regaining your place in the world. Here's the step-by-step. 1. Take the 3-second test. Before saying I'm sorry, freeze for 3 seconds and ask, did I really do something wrong? Or am I apologizing for being rather than for doing? Practical example. Before, I'm sorry, but I think the meeting could be shorter. After, I think the meeting could be shorter. Point. No justifications. 2. Replace sorry with thank you. A powerful psychological trick. Instead of, sorry to interrupt, thank you for listening to me. Instead of, I'm sorry, I'm sad, thank you for holding space for me. Why does it work? Sorry puts you in debt. Thank you puts you on equal footing. 3. Practice the mirror rule. Look into the eyes and say out loud, I have the right to take up space. My words matter. My feelings are valid. Does it seem silly? But it works, because your brain needs to hear it from you to start believing it. 4. Notice who you are protecting with your excuses. Ask yourself, who benefits when I make myself small? These people deserve my silence. Spoiler, 99% of the time, the answer is no. 5. Allow yourself to be inconvenient, because you're not. Here's the bombshell, you're not inconvenient. You have been trained to believe that you are. Speaking your opinion is not inconvenient. It's courage. Asking for what you need is not inconvenient. It's self-care. Taking up space is not inconvenient. It's existing. The day you stop apologizing, the world will not collapse. In fact, something magical will happen. People will start to listen to you, because you are no longer asking for permission to speak. You will attract healthier relationships, because those who like you small don't deserve you whole. You will recognize yourself in the mirror, because, for the first time, you are not betraying yourself. An invitation, no, you don't need to apologize for accepting. Today, I propose a challenge to you. Go 24 hours without saying I'm sorry unless you have, in fact, made a mistake. Note. How many times did you almost say it, but didn't say it? How it felt not to apologize. How others reacted, spoiler, no one died. Comment here, what was the most difficult situation? What did you discover about yourself? And if this text touched you, share it with those who need to hear that it is not a bother. Because the world already has too many people apologizing for existing. You don't need to be one more. Until next time, and remember, your place in the world is not a favor. It's a right. Yellow heart. P.S. If you want more reflections like this, turn on notifications so you don't miss out. And yes, you deserve it. The day you stopped explaining yourself, and the world didn't fall apart. There is a moment in the lives of those who have become accustomed to justifying every breath in which something changes. It's not a crack, it's more like the silence after a years-long storm. You stop. Look around. And realize. No one was really listening to his explanations. No one was expecting his apology. And, most surprising, no one noticed when you stopped giving them. What happens when you stop justifying yourself? Take note, because this is revolutionary. 1. People start treating you like an adult, not like a project to be approved. But what if they think I'm arrogant? Answer. Anyone who needs you to be small to feel big doesn't deserve your space. 2. Your words gain weight because they are no longer diluted into I just wanted to say that, actually, I didn't mean to. Example, saying I won't be able to instead of sorry, I have something, like, I don't know if it's possible, but if it is possible, I'll let you know, is like exchanging a punctured balloon for an anchor. 3. You find out who really matters, because the people who stay are the ones who don't require you to shrink into their spaces. 4. Your mental energy doubles, because stopping explaining is like turning off 57 open tabs in your brain that you didn't even know were consuming you. The 72-hour experiment. Yes, you can do it. I challenge you. Go 3 days without justifying yourself unless you are, in fact, correcting your mistake, not someone else's discomfort. Rule 1. Replace sorry for the delay with here you go, or just, nothing. Rule 2. When someone questions your choice, respond with comfortable silence or I see your point, without adding but. Rule 3. Write down how many times you almost fell into the trap and how you felt after you didn't. What you will discover. That 90% of his explanations were for people who didn't even ask. That the world keeps turning without your personal instruction manual. That freedom is that strange void in your chest when you realize that you no longer need to fill it with words. The mathematics of self-approval. Most of us have been taught that love equals effort to be accepted. Respect equals proof that we deserve space. But the truth is a simpler equation. You exist. Therefore, it takes up space. Point. It's not arrogance. It's basic physics. For those who are still afraid, I know you're there. But what if they think, am I thick? That I don't care. Answer. People will project onto you what they already believe about themselves. Anyone who needs you to be perfect is already dissatisfied with themselves. Anyone who respects their limits knows that no is a complete sentence. And here's the dirty secret. People who really like you won't abandon you because you stop apologizing. Who to abandon? He had already left a long time ago, he was just waiting for you to stop chasing him. What to do with all this silence now? When you stop explaining, the internal noise subsides. And then, for the first time, you hear 1. Your own voice, not the edited to please version. 2. What you really want, not what you think you should want. 3. The sound of your life without the static of other people's expectations. Exercise. The next time you feel like justifying a choice, ask yourself, is this about me, or about someone's discomfort with my boundaries? If I were someone I loved, what would I say to them now? A letter to you, who needs to read this today. Dear you who still think you need an excuse to exist. You're not too much. You are no less. You are enough, and that's more than most people can handle. Stopping explaining yourself is not closing yourself off from the world. It's making space for those who deserve to be in it. And if today you read this and thought, but in my case it's different, I challenge you. What part of you deserve respect seems unattainable? Because, spoiler, it's not. Now, the part that matters, what are you going to do with it? 1. Comment here. What was the last thing you found yourself explaining unnecessarily? X. I'm sorry, I'm just like that. 2. Try it. Choose a situation this week to apply strategic silence and come back here to tell us how it went. 3. Share with those who need to hear that existing is not a crime. And if this text hit you like a punch in the chest, the good kind, save this reminder. My life is not a draft awaiting approval. It is assigned work. Until next time, and remember, the world doesn't owe you anything, but you don't owe it explanations either. Seedling. P.S. If you've come this far, it's because something inside you already knows that you're ready for this freedom. Don't go back. And yes, you can read this text again whenever doubt strikes. I allow it.